Hello, this is the Theory 1 test, which covers lessons 1 through 5. Before we get started, I have a couple of reminders for you. You want to make sure that you are in real-time mode on your machine. This test is to be taken completely on your machine. So you're not writing anything with a pen or a pencil. You are solely writing on your machine, okay? Now, with that being said, at the end of the recording, when I'm done dictating the test, you will stop the recording and save your material. So make sure you save your test. You need to give it a file name, so that's very important. Make sure that you give it a file name that you know that is the first test. So for instance, I like to start a file name with the date. So today's the 18th. So if this were my test, I would label it as 1/18/18, theory test 1. And then I would give my initials, J. Brummond. My last name is Brummond. And that way, when I go to submit that test, Platinum Steno knows that it belongs to myself because my name's on it in the file name, along with the date and what it is. It's not homework, it's a test. So that is how I like to use, that's the filing system that I use. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but those are some important, that's important information that you want to use when you go to give your test or homework a file name. So state whether it's homework, HW, I like to use for homework, the number, and just like the test. So what test number is it? It's test number 1. Okay, so with that being said, don't forget after the test to save your work. Don't exit out of your computer because then you're going to lose everything that you just did. Okay, so once you're done with that, then you will follow the directions on transcribing your test. And once you have transcribed it, you will download your notes along with your actual test. And then it's going to show you a screen that has it's going to show you the test key, and that will be myself again reading the test and being very detailed with what you should have. Okay, and you can also print that out and see what it's supposed to look like, and then and that is how you grade your test. And then I have a grading key at the end of that, so you can see, according to how many missed, you can grade yourself. And again, if you don't pass, then that just means you probably need to go back and redo lessons 1 through 5. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. The test will always start with briefs. So we have different sections. Our briefs will always be first. Then we will have a phrase section. Everything will be phrased. Then we will have word pairs. Then we will move on to sentences. And that is going to be pretty much what test 1 is all about. Now, it's just as important to transcribe it correctly as it is to take it down on your machine. So think of it as 2 parts to the test. First part will be writing it on your machine. The second part is actually transcribing it. So you want to look for typos. You want to make sure your punctuation is correct. You want to make sure proper names are in uppercase letter. The first letter is uppercase. You want to make sure you have a period at the end of your sentence, comma where a comma goes, and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. That's just as important as getting it down in your machine. Okay, and if a word doesn't come up on your dictionary, if your dictionary doesn't, recognize one of the words, then you're going to read your steno and you're going to transcribe that word into English. So by the time that you go through and you completely transcribe your tests, you want to be able to give that to a person who does not know how to read steno and could read it because it's all in English. Okay. All right, now another tip I want to give you, in between each brief, you want to separate those with a comma. Now when you go to transcribe it, you're going to want to take the comma out. but that just helps you to read each word a lot easier. Instead of having just a bunch of words, you're going to have, for instance, if I give you the, then you would have a comma in between the next brief, okay? Same with the phrases. If I give you he is, you're going to phrase he is, and then strike your comma, and then go on to the next phrase. Now, when you go to transcribe that, you're going to take those commas out because you only want to have one brief per line and one phrase per line. Now, the sentences are different. When I read you the full sentence, you want to have the full sentence on one line. Now, if it's long enough and it wraps to the next line, that's okay. But you want to have a full sentence on a line, and you don't want to have any more than one sentence on one line. So one sentence per line, okay? Now, you also want to have a header for each section. So this first section should be labeled briefs, okay? But right now, you're not doing that because you're going to be writing everything on your machine. So you don't have to, but this is when you go to transcribe it. So I'm going to go into more detail when we get into the transcribing part of it. But just so you know, when you turn off the recording, you save the work, you're transcribing, you want to label each section. So you're going to have a briefs section. Okay, so you're at the very top, you would, in all caps, put briefs, and then right under that, a list of all your briefs, okay? Then you're gonna have a phrase section, okay? So then when we start the phrases, right above where we start, you're going to actually transcribe and put in, you're gonna edit and add in phrases, okay? So you're gonna type on your computer, on your keyboard, phrases, not on your machine, but when you're editing the test. Then there's gonna be word pairs. Word pairs are a short vowel versus a long vowel word. So, for instance, if I say rob, robe, that's an example of a word pair. Okay, so two words can go on one line there because it's a pair. Okay, rob, robe. Or you can do it on one word on each line, that's fine too. You have the choice there. Then we have the sentence section. So you're gonna label that sentences, okay? So those are that's going to be your four headers. You're gonna have briefs, phrases, word pairs, sentences, okay? And it'll go in that order, all right? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm gonna start with briefs, and this is all going to be on your machine, okay? So number one, and you don't write number one on your machine or anything, you just write the brief along with your, afterward, you're gonna strike your comma, okay? Number one is be. I will be there, be. Again, these are all briefs. Number two, what? What do you want to do? What? Make sure you strike your comma to separate each brief. Number three, had. We had been there. Number four, is. Is it time to go? Number five, when. When do you want to go? When? Number six, it. It is going to be a nice day. Number seven, with. I will go with you. Number eight, company. The company just moved. Number nine, are you going with us? Number 10, which one of you raised your hand? which. Number 11, open. Will you open the door? Number 12, letter. I wrote a letter. Number 13, the. The day went by fast. Number 14, were. We were going to go. About. I was about to leave. About. Did. Did you want to call them? Will. Will you be there? Uh, 18, he called us. He. 19, would. I would like to go. Number 20, could. Could you go? 21, can. I can go. 22, today. Today is Thursday. 23, remember. Do you remember her? 24, you. You will go. You. All right, so that concludes the briefs section. So if you want, you can go ahead and hit your period a few times just to kind of give yourself a couple of spaces before we start the phrase section. Again, when you go to edit your test and you go to transcribe it, you want to make sure you take out those commas, okay? And you're going to want to have one brief per line, okay? So, and also what it's going to want to do is it's going to want to take that brief and capitalize it, but you're going to want to make it a lowercase letter unless it's the pronoun I, or it's the beginning of a sentence, or it's a proper name. Otherwise, if it's just a brief, like is, you want to make that a lowercase I. It's going to want to make a capital I because it's the very first word at the beginning of a sentence. That's what the computer thinks, but you're going to want to change it to lowercase. All right, and take out the comma. All right, same with phrases. The only time we're going to leave a capital letter is if we have the pronoun I. And the reason why we do that is because we want to get used to editing our test in the proper way. So we only want capital letters for proper names, pronoun I, beginning of a sentence, and things like that. Okay, proper nouns. So we want to get used to it right away, right off the bat. Okay, all right, so let's move into phrases. Okay, now phrases, that means you're going to hear two words and they're going to be done together. You're going to strike those two letters at the same time. Okay, that's why they're a phrase. Here we go. Number 1, Can I? Can I go? Number 2, it will. It will be here soon. Number 3, he is. He is calling you today. Number 4, would the. Would the circumstance help the situation? Would the. Number 5, is he? Is he going to call you? Is he? Number 6, about the. It was about the results. Number 7, were you? Were you going to go? Number 8, will the. Will the restaurant be open that late? Will the. Number 9, you will. You will get to go. You will. Number 10, can be. It can be a good thing. Number 11, we will. We will be there soon. We will. Number 12, had the contract been void? Had the. Number 13, which is. Which is the perfect outfit? Number 14, can he go with you? Number 15, will be. I will be there soon. Number 16, had a. We had a breakdown. Number 17, would you like to go? Number 18, where is the student? Number 19, did the dog get out? Number 20, when is your birthday? When is? 21, is it? Is it true? Is it? 22, with you. I will go with you. 23, to the. We went to the zoo. To the. 24, is the. Is the dog outside? 25, to be. He is going to be there pretty soon. 26, we are. We are going to go. 27, up the. Let's climb up the hill. 28, I will go. 29, can the kids go to the movies? 30, it is a beautiful day. 31, did I call you? 32, what is your birthstone? 33, are you excited? 34, with the. I will go with the kids. 35, would be. It would be nice to see you. Would be. All right, so that's the end of the phrase section. So there are 35 phrases. Okay, so far you should have 24 briefs and 35 phrases. Now we're going to go on to word pairs. All right, our next section. So again, you may want to strike your period a couple times just to kind of separate each section, and then you can go back in the edit mode and take those periods out. Okay. Again, I want you to print out the instructions regarding how to edit your test and transcribe your test. There's instructions on how to use the commands. So if you've got case catalysts, or if you've got total eclipse, you're going to want to print out whichever one you have, okay? Whichever one that pertains to you. There's a quick guide on both of those, along with some basic instructions, how to save your work as a PDF file, step-by-step directions, and how to edit and all of that. So that's what you want to print out, and that will be a huge help to you, okay? All right, so let's move on to word pairs. Again, you can separate each word with a comma, okay, and then you can take those out when you're in the edit mode. Okay, number 1, rob. He will rob the store. Again, when you go to transcribe this, you're not going to want to have a capital R. That would be a point off because I didn't say Rob is my brother, the proper noun. I said Rob, as in he will rob the store. So you're going to want to use a lowercase r. Number 2, robe. Put on your robe. Okay, number 3, cot. Lay on the cot. Number 4, coat. Wear your coat. Number 5, sat. He sat on the ground. Number 6, sate. That means to satisfy fully. She refused to sate her cravings. Now, if ever you get a word that you're not sure how to spell or what it means, look it up, okay? Look it up in the dictionary, just to make sure you have the correct spelling. That's part of the process of transcribing a test as well, getting unfamiliar words, looking them up to make sure they're spelled correctly. Okay. Number 7, sop. That means a piece of food dipped in fluid like milk or gravy, or it can mean a bribe. Okay, my agent telephones as a sop, but never finds me work. Okay, it can either be a piece of food that's dipped like in gravy, or it can be a bribe. All right, so then number 8 is soap. Use the soap. Okay, number 9, lass. That's a young woman or a young girl, lass. The young lass was very beautiful. Number 10, lace. She wore a lace blouse. Lace. Okay, that's the end of the word pairs. Now we're moving on to sentences. Okay. There are 27 sentences. Now I'm going to dictate these sentences, and if I have a phrase, I'm going to really phrase it, but I'm not going to come out and say, oh, that's a phrase. You should know that's a phrase, okay? So if I phrase something and you know it's a phrase, you want to strike the 2 words at the same time, okay? Here we go. Where did the dog dig the big hole? Interrog. Now you may come up with a word that maybe you haven't had yet, but just remember you've already learned that concept, okay? So it's nothing that you can't write, all right? Maybe a new word to you, but you've already learned the concept, all right? So where did the dog dig the big hole? Interrog. Number 2, remember to lug the load up the hill. period. And sometimes I may speed up a little just so you understand what the sentence is about, or understand that maybe it's a phrase. So most of the time though, I'll pause in between each sentence. Okay, so remember to lug the load up the hill, period. Number 3, where did you put the wet red rag? Interrog. Number 4, tell Peg to shape up. Period. Number 5, lead the deaf lad to the sea. Period. Number 6, is he the boss at the cab company? Interrog. Number 7, I can hear the cat purr. Period. Number 8, so when will the Pope be at the pit? Interrog. Now let me just clarify something. When you go to grade your test, you are not grading your steno notes. You're actually grading the finished final part of this test, okay? So you're finishing the edited transcript, okay? You're grading that part. You're not grading the steno part. it's still important that you write accurately in the steno portion of the test, the part right now, because when you go to transcribe it, you want to have the right words. But if for some reason you hit the brief it instead of the, and the sentence it should be the cat was purring, and you have it cat was purring, and you know it's supposed to be the cat was purring, you're going to change it to the. Now, with that being said, you also have to trust your notes. So if you have a word that maybe you know you wrote correctly, but you're self-doubting yourself that maybe you didn't write that correctly, you need to learn to trust your notes. So that's an aspect of it too. So trust your notes, especially if you have a word that is perfectly written, then you know, okay, I wrote that word, so she must have said it. Okay, but on the other hand, if you have this mistake and you know that the sentence was not it cat ran down the hall, and it was supposed to be the cat ran down the hall, you know that you have a mistake, and you can change that to the correct word. So as long as you correct it to the correct word when you're in the transcription mode, and that's on the final product of your test, then you will get that correct if you transcribe it to the correct word. Okay, so we're not grading your actual steno notes, even though you must have the words written in steno. So with that said, if you were to leave out a whole sentence and you were to remember it, I wouldn't want you to go back and transcribe a whole sentence because you know that I said the cat ran down the hall, but I didn't write that, but I just remembered it, and that would not count either. Okay, so there's kind of a fine line between the two. Okay. All right, so if you have a misstroke, don't panic. As long as you go in the edit mode and you change it to the correct word, that's okay. All right. All right. Number 9, eat a pear with the waif. Now, a waif is a stray person or a homeless person. It could be a stray animal. It could be a number of things, but if you're not sure how to spell it, you want to look it up in your dictionary. Okay, I recommend that you buy a Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. That you can take that to the state test, use it for the RPR. Eventually, when you go to get your certification, you can have a Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. So get the newest edition, and you can, personalize it, write down words on the inside cover that maybe you look up all the time, things like that. Okay, so this last sentence is eat a pear with the waif, period. And after the test, I'll give you all the proper names and spellings as well. Okay, number 10. Did Cass or Todd read the letter to you? Interrog. So at the end of the test, I'll give you the proper names, such as Cass and Todd and so on. Number 11, which coat is her coat? Interrog. Number 12. Can you sew up the tear? Interrog. Number 13. The big ape was up a pole. Period. Number 14. When are you to set sail? Interrog, meaning sailing away on a boat. Number 15. Did Bess, B as in boy, Bess, roll up her hair? Interrog. Number 16. The shag rug is wet. Period. Number 17. Tote the coat to the hut. Period. Number 18. Her date was a dull bore. Period. Number 19. When will he pay the toll? Interrog. Number 20. Let us share the hot tub with you. period. Number 21. I hope Ray will remember to sell the car to Ted. Period. Number 22. Could you open it? Interrog. Number 23. I will wear a red cape to the show. Period. "24. Did you laugh a lot at the CAD interrog?" And I won't always explain what a word, an uncommon word is, but I will this time because it's our first test. But a cad is a man who acts with deliberate disregard for another's feelings. Okay, so did you laugh a lot at the CAD interrog? And again, if you're not sure the spelling, look it up. Okay. All right, number 25. Her earlobe is so red. Period. Number 26. His leg is sore today. Period. 27. Tess can be a real twit. Period. Okay, so you should have 27 sentences. So in the future, before we start a test, I will give you how many briefs you should have, how many phrases, how many word pairs, and how many sentences. You can jot that down so that when you go to transcribe the test, you know maybe if you miss something, if you don't have the amount that you should have, okay? So, you might want to jot this down. You should have 24 briefs, 35 phrases, 10 word pairs, or if you want to call them a pair, it'd be 5, but there's 10 words in the word pair section, and 27 sentences. Okay. So this is going to be the time when you're going to stop the recording. The very first thing you're going to do is save your job, give this a file name, like I already explained. When you go to transcribe, I want you to keep some things in mind. When you are editing or grading your test, you're going to mark off for things like punctuation errors, typos, misspelled words, compound words. If it's supposed to be one word and you have it as 2, that's all. You're going to give yourself -1 for all of those type of errors. If you have a misspelled word, that's -1. If you have a typo, -1. If it's supposed to be one word and you have it as 2 or vice versa, that's -1. Proper names that are not capped, that would be -1. A misstroke of a word, if you have it and it's supposed to be the, that's -1. On the phrases, if you have were you and it was supposed to be where the, that would be -1, not -2 because it's a phrase, okay? For each misstroked word that you have something different, that's -1. If you have the wrong or incorrect ending punctuation, let's say you have a period, it's supposed to be an interrog, that would be -1, and vice versa. If you have an interrog, it's supposed to be a period, -1, okay? You have, I will pat the cat, but capital P on pat, that would be -1 because that we're not talking about the proper noun, we're talking about the verb, pat the cat, okay? So let me give you your proper nouns, okay? That means you're going to capitalize these in the edit mode, okay? Peg is spelled capital P-E-G. You're going to write this down on a separate piece of paper so that you have it handy when you go to transcribe your test. Peg, uppercase P, lowercase e-g, okay? Pope, that is up to you. We prefer it to be capitalized, but in the dictionary, you can have it either way. That can either be capitalized or lowercase. Either way is okay. Pope. Okay, then we have Cass, capital C, lowercase a-s-s. Todd, uppercase T, lowercase o-d-d, 2 Ds. Bess, capital B as in boy, lowercase e-s-s. Ray, capital R, lowercase a-y. Ted, capital T, lowercase ed. Earlobe was given to you in a sentence. That can either be one word or 2 words. That's an exception. So again, if you're not sure, those compound words you want to look up to see if they're 1 or 2 words. If it's in the Webster's dictionary as 1 word, you transcribe it as 1 word. If it's in there as 2, you transcribe it as 2. If it gives you either way, then you always want to go with the first preference that they have on there, okay? And according to that dictionary, earlobe, the first preference is 1 word, so I would make it 1 word. But if it's 2, it's okay. And then we have Tess, capital T-E-S-S. Now, when you go to transcribe, you do not have to underline the phrases, okay? But under the phrase section, you want to have the phrase together on a line. So if I say is the, you want to have is the on the same line because that is the phrase, okay? To the would be on the same line. The word to and the all on the same line, okay? And then when you get to the sentence section, there's one sentence per line. Okay, so I want you to go ahead now, save your work, go in and edit it, create a transcript. Once you complete that, you're going to submit your notes, your steno notes, and your finished transcript. And once you do that, then the next option will be to grade it, which you're going to self-grade yourself and give yourself 1 point off for any mistakes that you see. And when you print off the transcript that I have provided that shows you what it should look like, you're going to give yourself 1 point for any error. Okay, and then at the end of the test, you're going to see a grade rubric there. Minus 0 to 2 is an A. 3 to 4, you miss 3 or 4, that's a B. If you miss 5 or 6, that's a C. Anything over 6 is a non-pass. So then I would encourage you to go back and practice those lessons, or if you wrote it correctly in your steno notes, but maybe you just didn't transcribe it correctly, then I would encourage you to go back and transcribe that whole test again, because you need to learn how to work on, punctuation and all of the things that you have to focus on in the transcription part of the test. Think of it as 2 parts. The first part, you take it on your machine. The second part, you have to transcribe, and you have to pay attention to all of the little details. That's just as important as transcribing it on, taking it down on your machine. So always think of your test as 2 parts. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our first theory test covering lessons 1 through 5.